What's up, everyone? Welcome to another special edition to the Rated G podcast. I'm your host, G. Derrado. For those of you who are new here, welcome to the show. This is a podcast where I sit down to talk about anything related to art and creativity, as well as other events in life. And I often sit down with other fellow artists and creatives to get to know them better and to help promote their brand. So if you enjoy this type of podcast, please be sure to follow if you're listening, subscribe if you're watching, ring the notification bell. That way you can keep up with the uploads. Please leave comments to help out with the algorithm, share with your friends. And if you want to follow myself and my guest on social media, the links will be provided in the description below. Okay, and for the frequent returning listeners or watchers or viewers, thanks for coming back and for your continued support. Before I bring in my guest, I thought I'd catch up with you about last weekend, a very eventful weekend. On Saturday, I made a last minute decision to go check out Dune Part 2, which was phenomenal. Surprise, huh? Uh, Although I got hit with traffic and I missed like the first like opening sequence. Like I arrived right when the title was revealed. But according to the audience member next to me, I didn't miss anything. So, but still, anyway, it was awesome. I'm glad I went. I didn't see the first one in theaters, and I kind of wish I did, especially after watching this one, because I mean, just being fully immersed in of course, the just the audio, really the music, man. The music was just so good. Fucking Hans Zimmer, the man. So that was awesome. Pretty long too. It was almost 3 hours long. Like I feel like that's as long as I can go. Um, but it was worth it. It was awesome. I went during like the matinee time, so it was cheap. Um, so that was awesome. And then later on that night, I met up with my buddy Matt Schmidt. Again, I've mentioned him a few times now. I mean, these people that I've been hanging out with, has been pretty frequent. So, uh, if you've been tuning in the previous episodes, I've been mentioning them a lot. Um, but yeah, he's been on the podcast as well. He's known for his caricature art here in Richmond, and he invited me to go to a comedy show, and I was like, why not, man? It's been a while since I've been to a live show. Uh, he got these tickets from his sister, it was like a gift, and it was to go see Chris D'Elia, which, if you're familiar with that comic, there's some controversy on his name regarding some serious allegations. People, I guess he got canceled, but came back from it. Because like, I think, in true honesty, like you can't really cancel somebody, right? I mean, like you can, but you can't. I don't know. It's a weird thing to be involved in, but anyway, so me and Matt were talking about it on the way, um, which like the venue was like an hour away, so it was a bit of a hike, but it was great for he and I to get to know each other more and just have more, just more real conversations. So I was glad to have joined him on the ride there, and yeah, we are just like, talking about the, his whole cancellation thing. But we're like, let's just like we agreed that we were gonna go in open-minded, of course, and just try to have a genuine good time. And I will say, because I'm not, even before all that shit, I really wasn't too big on Chris D'Elia. I've seen him a couple times on TV, like in TV shows. But yeah, I mean, I thought his comedy was okay. He's very, he's like an LA comic. So very performative. Um, but he had it was a funny set. So I was glad to have gone. It was really enjoyable. His opener was great. She's from New York, so I mean, I hate to admit it, but when I'm seeing a New Jersey or New York comic or even Philly comic, I'm easily, I'm easier to become a fan. You know what I mean? Like just because just have like the same vibe, come from the same area. So she was hilarious, and yeah, it was a good night, and then the ride home was awesome too. Like we just again just talked about some real shit and got to know each other better. Um, but what else? And then Sunday. Sunday was another fun, eventful day. I had Noah Ray, another friend that I've been mentioning, and he's another artist and illustrator. And so like a few weeks ago, we started this marathon, a John Wick marathon, and we called it the Wickening. So because of these movies are pretty lengthy, especially like the last two, or I mean particularly the last one. And so just doing the two movies took like, the whole day. So we split it into two parts, and then so Sunday we did the last two movies, and we decided, hey, like, let's also like get some drawing done. So that's what we did. Bust in the DVDs, had some drinks, some chips, and did some sketch pad work, and it was awesome, man. Like I said in the last episode, it's been really nice to just be like socially involved again, man. Like I've been lacking it for so long, and yeah, I'm starting to feel normal again, and it's been really nice. So I've I've told them both numerous times just how grateful I am to have been able to just build on this friendship that we've started, and they invite me to things and I invite them to things. Like we actually make these meetups happen. So it's been nice, and very appreciative of it, very grateful for it. But yeah, it was awesome weekend overall. So I hope also because that was Easter Sunday. So for those of you who celebrated Easter and went on the Easter hunt, egg hunt with your kids, nephews, nieces, whatever, I hope you guys had a wonderful time. Um Now, if it feels like I'm kind of rushing through this segment, I do apologize because I kind of am. I'm trying to get this part done before I actually bring in my guest, um, who's also from Jersey. So it's like two in a row. Some fellow New Jerseyans. Um, I this one, what I'm about to get into is another dream sequence because uh the other night. I had another interesting dream. Uh, I don't have a title for this one. Um, I guess I would just call it "Funny People on a Boat" because it involved some comedians and comedic actors, and I have had to write notes on this because it's like it's another random one, but the people that were in it were comedians Mark Normand, uh, and Kevin James, Sarah Hyland, and Jerry Stiller was in it. If you're not familiar who Jerry Stiller is, he's the father of Ben Stiller. He's known for being in Seinfeld, King of Queens, and a bunch of other stuff. Zoolander. Um, so basically, we're we're on a boat, kind of like a cruise ship, and yeah, we're at like the dining area. We're about to eat, and by surprise, Mark Normand was he was cooking. Like he made this sort of funky seafood dish, and so he's like dishing it out, serving everybody. And then I made this weird comment like because he's a stand-up, so I was just trying to like say something funny like to make him laugh. And I said something along the line of um I was like, I hope you, it was like, I hope you scratch your ass before you serve me the food, or something outrageous like that. And so we're all eating, and like the food was, it was weird. It was like some weird, like, I don't know, seafood bisque or something like that. And Jerry Stiller was starting to feel ill, and he's like kind of doing his thing, like he's famously known in on TV shows, like he's just being loud and like obnoxious, and so he's like, you know, claiming how sick he's feeling, and then so then Kevin James comes out and he's trying to like console him, trying to see if he's like okay, and then out of nowhere, Jerry just like tosses him overboard into the water. Like, but then what was weird is that he didn't go straight into the water for some reason. Like we weren't even out into the sea. We were still near the dock, and instead of landing in the water, there was like this big tarp between the boat and the docking area. So he lands on this tarp, and you know, it's just and then the next thing, we're all in the water. Like I guess everyone was like starting to feel sick, so everyone was just like jumping off board and they're like in the water and they're trying to pull themselves like on the tarp, and people are just like pulling themselves up on the docking area. And then homegirl Sarah Hyland, she's she's like very visibly annoyed and just trying to assist everybody to come off the boat. And and that was pretty much the dream. Like it was so odd. Like I don't I have no idea what could have triggered this dream. I mean, I'm a fan of these people, but as far as like just being on like a sort of like small cruise ship with them, I don't know. It was fucking weird. But yeah, so that was I mean, honestly, I think I'm more impressed that I'm able to remember majority of this dream. I mean, obviously I can't remember each detail, but like those that was the sequence. That was the sequence of events in that dream. Like we're all like, "Oh, Mark Norman could cook. Who would have known?" And he's like, "Hey, hey, comedy." And he's cooking, and he's like giving us he's putting food on our plates, and then I made that weird comment, and then just like later on, I just see Jerry Stiller, you know, at this, near like I don't know what you call it, like the railing on the boat, and he's just kind of like rubbing his belly, and then just yeah, it just as soon as he tossed Kevin James overboard, it just all like just chaos. So that was my dream. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, anyway. So interestingly, I came across a comment on one of my YouTube shorts. It was I believe it was on a preview for one of the recent episodes, but yeah, another artist on YouTube left a comment saying, "Hey, you should do a reaction video of the first episode of my show." And so me being a nice person that I am, I was like, "All right, yeah, sure, why not?" Like, obviously, I'm just kind of enlightened to have comments. So that's why at the beginning of every show, I say, "Hey, please leave a comment." Obviously it helps out with the algorithm and it helps my self-esteem. But so that's what we're gonna do here. All right, we're gonna get into this thing. They have a pilot episode of what they are calling From Up There. All right, so let me hit this link. Um, and I hope that I'm gonna have to include you know, the video on the final edit here. But this thing is about 9.5 minutes. Um, don't know what to expect. So let me just oop, whoopsies, wrong key. Derp. All right, here we go.
Where did it come from? Oh, it came from up there. Want to go up there and beat them up? He's ready. I mean, I'm ready.
The astronaut aliens on the moon. Um, so
Marley.
we got ourselves a young artist here.
Let me go.
Curious about how young this artist is. What in the? I have no idea what's going on here.
It's cool, but I don't think I'll take it. I don't know how to work it. This is horrible.
We've got to get out of here. I think someone's here.
Wow. Yeah. We got some young voices here.
Whoa, whoa.
The anime it's an animation and it's limited. Very limited animation.
But for real, what
It's
are we
like
gonna do?
it's like an animatic vibe. Uh yeah, they gotta be like young teenagers that are involved in this.
Wow, what a rush. There's a lady looking at us weird. Maybe we should put some of this on and disguise ourselves. I think it's right. Let's just see what we look like.
Yeah, let's try at least.
I gotta give them credit though, right? They're making something they enjoy doing.
Do you know where the nearest star is located? I don't know. We'll be on our way then. Wow.
This was made
We're there. We should
9 months ago.
Yeah, but who knows we'll be there.
Actually got a good amount of subscribers. They have like double of what I have, so good for them. They got 1.k views. It's pretty good.
We are humans, correct? Correct.
Obviously.
Weird. You guys look weird. Jeez.
Doing tab?
Yeah.
Want to be friends?
I guess. Thanks.
See you later then. I like her. She's kind.
This is like so...
Sorry.
30 brand new messages.
Crap, but Jeff is coming. Oh my god.
Hello, guys.
No, not you. Wait, yes, you. Here, hide me from howdy partners. Damn it, Caleb. Hi, Applejack. Say hi.
Yeah, it's
Shiza.
Hello. No, not yet.
I'm like, I'm trying to be nice about this,
You
but
love food. Why doesn't anybody eat?
I don't like the food here.
Oh, okay. Wow, food waster. Foods are sorry. That's the way it goes.
Well, that was quite.
Whatever. Peace out, stupid. Wait, where are you guys going? Just come outside.
Hey, come over here.
I should have read the description of this episode before I started watching.
Aren't you that one kid who thinks that kid Applejack?
My stupid popular twin sister. I'll show you around here.
Hold on, let me pause this about halfway through. Yeah, I should have read the description before I started this, but it says in this episode, three aliens named Baxton, Emma, and Marley are taken from their home by an astronaut exploring the moon. With their teleportation abilities, they escape to a clothing shop where they make disguises and attend a junior high school. They explore the school grounds and meet some of the kids there. Okay. Yeah, so shout out to the channel the Axolotl Axolotl. I don't know. Um, I mean, hey, A for effort, man. They're doing the thing. Y'all gotta start somewhere.
Here's another wall.
Yeah.
But I'll admit though, like it makes me wonder what their background is so far, like in what they're aspiring to be. They I'm
What's your name? What you
just judging by this, I'm assuming, they want to be an animator. Class, period. Number 7. What?
Here.
It's okay. Just try not to get in trouble next time. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Yeah.
Now, who can tell me who was the first president of the United States? What about you then? Is it Lincoln Abraham? Okay. Not quite. Screw this.
Damn. Marley. What? This is kind of weird. I do agree. I've been wondering.
Are you guys paying attention? It's okay. I was just kidding. I'm a chill teacher. Anyway, remember today's a short day. Let's get out of here.
But we're 35 minutes early.
I know. But remember, I'm a chill teacher.
How many?
So she didn't mean us.
A couple more minutes left.
Hey, that's the one kid that we saw earlier. I mean, it sounds pretty cool. Sure.
Oh, wow. They're the 8th graders. Don't mess with them.
Hey, it's you.
8th graders. Oh, that's right.
Well, how
It's
do you
junior
do?
high, so it's not even high school yet.
Yep.
Oh wow, so we're talking about these are youngins here, some real youngins.
I was kidding. I think it was a good day for us. But, yeah.
Till next day.
What the hell does that mean?
I don't know.
What the hell does that mean?
I don't know.
Oh, Chihuahua. Oh, look. Chihuahua.
How did you know that's a chihuahua?
I don't know. Yes.
Makes sense. What are we gonna do now?
Should we end the episode right now?
This is,
Just like blacked out. I'm so sorry.
I'll admit, I'm curious. What inspired this?
If you liked the first episode, you should share it with your friends.
Or else. Oh, hold on, man.
Shut
Oh,
it, Baxton.
Yeah.
okay. Oh, okay. That is the. It's like a whole minute of. Okay. All right. That was interesting. Let me just visit their channel real quick. So it looks like their handle is Big Flustered Mess. Kind of matches. Yeah, that checks out. There was a lot of yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously I can't go too hard on this. We're talking about this junior high school kid. It's funny because like where I went to when I went to school, like we didn't my town we didn't have junior high, so we just had elementary school. So it was from pre-K to eighth grade. So um yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but I figured, hey, artists support artists no matter what. Uh, I don't even know if they're ever gonna catch this, you know? I feel like they might only catch this if I tag them in the description or something or make a short clip. But hey, I will say this, if this is like your dream to be an animator, I wish you good luck. I would also say to stay in yeah, just keep going, you know, do what's necessary, learn as many uh lessons, some skills to enhance your illustration skills, your animation skills. I mean, you can learn all these tutorials online now. Um, practice, walk cycles, bouncing ball, like practice the whole push and pull method. Yeah, there's just a lot of, I mean, this is very, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is, but yeah, it's like, like a beginner's animation. Like I said before, if, it's more of like a animatic, which is basically when you just take the thumbnails from a storyboard. It's kind of like a motion comic almost, but just less motion in it. It's a lot of cut twos. Um, so I don't know, yeah, just stay on the path, if this is what you really want to do. Um, I don't know what studios are like these days. I do know that some of them are pretty cutthroat. I don't know, but you got a whole young as hell, so there's still much to learn. And who knows, your path may change. It certainly did for me. This is coming from a former animation student, animation graduate. I got a degree in it, although I do not do any of it. So your goals and your path very well may change, and that's just part of life, man. But hey, bravo for trying. You got a couple, it looks like you got a few animations here already, so good for you, man. Good for you. Or girl. I don't know the gender of this artist, but good for you. Good for you for trying and for just putting it out there regardless. All right. Before I bring in my guest, I just want to do a few plugs, of course, for some Richmond events. So for any of my listeners or viewers tuning in from Richmond or anywhere in Virginia, April 13th, I am going to be at the Mainline Brewery for the Filipino American Association of Central Virginia for their it's like it's Filipino Food Month, and for their membership drive. So that's happening on the 13th, and then April 20th, 420. I will be at the Creative Friends Market in Chesterfield. And then April 27th, I will be at the Diamond Stadium for the pop-up RVA market. Um, and yeah, those are the dates for April. Pretty excited, pretty nervous about, how well these are gonna go, just because I've been it's been a while since I've been on the scene, so these are kind of like warm-up events for me. But if you're unable to attend, but would like to purchase artwork, I will, my shop is open. You can visit theartofgtorado.square.site. That link will also be provided in the show description. And also, this is a great time to book me for commissions, especially if you want to do something special for Mother's Day, which is going to be in May, and then Father's Day in June. So, again, if you want to commission some custom, personalized artwork, now would be the time to book me. And if it is your first time booking with me, you get an automatic 10% discount. All right. And shipping and handling is included. And I am open for payment arrangements in case you are working with a budget. All right. Whatever your budget is, just, we'll talk about it. I always do my best to, meet in the middle and try to accommodate to my potential clients' needs. Okay. So yeah, that is all for now. We'll take a quick break and we will be back with my guest. Ladies and gentlemen and non-binary, we have a brand new guest for the show, a fellow New Jerseyan, I should say. And yeah, just to give a little backstory, we met through this online academy, which I've spoken about several times on the podcast, Creative Impact Academy, or as I like to say, the CIA. I like to pretend I'm like adjusting my imaginary tie. But yeah, we met online through this academy and just been keeping in touch and following and supporting each other since then. So please welcome for the first time, Kristen Steindl.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure meeting you face to face now. I mean, I've seen you through the meetings and stuff, but this is fun now. Like we can actually
Yeah.
converse. Um, so yeah, how I guess, just talking about the CIA, how has how has the program been treating you so far?
I mean, I'm kind of like on the back burner. I don't really go into the meetings a lot because a lot of the times when he does have the meetings,
Right.
like on Wednesday or Thursdays and Fridays, I can't participate. I also work, I'm part-time. I work as a nurse at our local hospital. We have the name of it's called Cape Regional Physicians Associates. So I work in an office Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, and I do medication prior authorizations. But then, I've been an artist for forever.
Yeah.
But I can get into that a little bit later about my kind of backstory and
Yeah,
stuff. But
absolutely.
I mean, for CIA, I mean, I'm glad that I joined. I met people like you and Lena. There's other people that I converse with frequently, on a daily basis.
Mm.
And it's interesting because you meet people from all over the world, and they have the same issues that I go through as an artist. Am I good enough? Should I put this out there type of thing. So
Yeah.
it's been cool, but then also sometimes it's really stressful because it's if something comes up that was unexpected, and you want to participate in a lot of the things, it's just I'm screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, I myself kind of like fell off a bit, just trying to tend to
Yeah.
my own things. But do you try to catch like the recordings when you have the downtime for it?
I do. I mean, there was one, I think it was on Thursday that usually like his wife usually does, but she wasn't
Oh,
able to and he was going to take over, but I'll send a message to like Mona, I'll be like, "Hey, when are the videos going to be available?" And she's like, "Oh, they should be, up shortly or whatever." But for the most part I try and watch them when I'm able to.
yeah.
Um but the most recent one I haven't been able to see. So,
Okay. Yeah, I think I was at that one, but I just like I had my screen off and just
yeah.
I was just kind of there just to I don't honestly just to have like the back just for background noise just 'cause yeah, I don't know. And also just to hear like what everyone else is up to and see who else is attending. A lot of new faces though from what I remember. Um
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean they're yeah, they're good to be attending when possible or even just I mean I haven't caught up on all the other stuff that I missed out, but they are important to, to check them out when you can. Um, but yeah, it is a wonderful community. I mean, it's really like just like another social media platform, but very, very focused on artists trying to grow their brand and their business. So it is nice to, like you said, it's really nice to see everyone sort of in a similar vulnerable state trying to just grow and yeah it's definitely Eileen for me it's also been a wonderful experience but yeah I mean you mentioned like Lena who's been on twice now and although like I haven't really been in touch with her as of late but yeah it's just nice to see like everyone still
Yeah.
getting through it and trying all these things out and but yeah, so let's get into your art background. Um you said you've been creating art all your life. But when did it all actually start for you?
I mean, when I was like in like kindergarten or first grade, like I was always like the one in the class that everybody was like, "Oh, what is she doing?" Like,
Mm.
and like I don't know if you ever had this in school, but like at certain times of the year they would hang all the artwork in the hallways and like, like they would have like the first place ribbon, second place ribbon, third place ribbon,
Mm.
and mine always seemed to get like the first place thing. And like I look back at some of the stuff that I did, I'm like, "Oh my God, it's horrible." But
Just being
I mean,
humble.
yeah, well, my mom, I mean, she's like always been like artistically inclined. She like right now she likes doing crocheting and sewing a lot. I never really wanted to get into that. I was always, interested in painting mostly.
Mm.
And it transitioned like more so in high school, it was transitioning towards I didn't want to draw what everybody else was drawing. Like I didn't want to draw like, like the candlestick with the candle exactly like that. I wanted it to be a little bit more abstract. And then when I finally got into college, I started off as a pre-med major. I really wanted to be a doctor at one point.
Mm.
And it was too crazy. I mean, I felt like I was like ripping my hair out. Like I wasn't good in math. And then I was good in the science part of it, but not the math.
Mm.
And that's what ended up really screwing me up. So I kind of, I'll tell you about my other story later, but, in college, I was like, all right, I'm going to transition from the science to art. And, as I really enjoyed that. And then when I got to my senior show, I went to a college in Virginia called Roanoke College. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Mm.
It's a small liberal arts school and it's on the western side of Virginia.
Okay.
Um, it's about like 6 hours away from where I live in New Jersey. So, when I was in art class, I had like three professors. It was like I said, it's a real small school. Um, and the professors wanted us to do stuff for our senior art show. And I really wanted to do something that represented the beach. So what I think of when I go to the beach is, I mean, this is one of the paintings that I did from college. Well,
Very
part of
nice.
it at least. Um, the beach fence, the dune fence. And, I had one of the professors specifically was like, well, have you tested this out before? Have you ever done anything like this before? I'm like, no. I'm like, it's an experiment. And in my head, I knew exactly what it was going to look like. It ended up turning out looking like what I wanted it to be. But, I don't know. One of the professors was a little like confrontational with me, and I really didn't appreciate that. I was just like, let me just do what I want to do. Like,
Yeah.
I already know, but I think that they were trying to like, maybe like make sure I was on the right path or whatever. But at the time and the way that I am, I was just like, this is bullshit, like don't fucking tell me how to
Yeah.
do anything. Like I know what I want to do. So for the senior show, everybody there, like we had people that did ceramics, there was drawings, there was paintings, these sculptural pieces, like everybody had something that was different, which kind of also reminds me of CIA a lot, because nobody in there is doing the same thing. Everybody's doing their own thing. um so for the college show, it was a 6 foot by 4 foot fence painting that I did, was the centerpiece. And then I had these other paintings that were on like these smaller pieces of wood that I cut out with like a jigsaw. They were like abstract things. Like one of them was like a rose, the other one was like lightning. There was a leaf that I did, and then I can't remember the other one. Oh, fire. So I had all these like weird representations of things, but then, like the beach was like the focal point. So it was kind of playing off like the elements, like the
Right.
fire, air, earth, water,
Yeah.
whatever those elements are. And like I was trying to like, and then combine them all into one, like all these different things. So it was an interesting idea. So then when I graduated from college, I came back home. And of course, like my mom was like, what are you gonna do as a job? Like, I don't think painting is considered like a career. So I was like, all right, well, and when I was in college, also got into advertising. So I worked at a local newspaper here, and then I ended up worked there for a couple of years. And then after that, I don't know if you remember monster.com, like to look for
Oh yeah.
jobs.
Yeah.
So there was one on there, and one time I was always playing around on the computer, and I was looking around, and I was like, like I typed in like graphic artist or art director or something like that. And there was an agency in Baltimore, Maryland, that was looking for work. And I was like, just for the hell of it, I was like, let me just apply to this. We'll see what happens. And it ended up being one of the best jobs that I've ever had. Um, I started out like from working at a newspaper doing like, like the little, advertisements in the paper, to working at an agency. At the time it was a very small agency, but now it's one of the biggest agencies in Baltimore.
Oh wow.
So, and then after that, I moved to New York City. I lived there for a while. I did a lot of freelance work, worked for Maybelline, um, the Children's Place. And then I ended up working at a pharmaceutical ad agency called Harrison and Starr. And
Okay.
then this also where it's kind of like transitioning going back into the like science or, healthcare type world.
Yeah.
I worked on a cancer drug called Avastin, and then I really liked that. And, I was looking at tumors and blood vessels and all this craziness all day long
Yeah.
for all these promotional pieces. And then I love New York, but I got burnt out from New York. I don't know if you've ever been up there,
Oh, I
been up
mean,
there for
yeah.
long periods of time.
Newark
It's
was my
just like
neighbor, you know?
after
Yeah.
after a while, it's like, oh, it's like, all right, I can't do this anymore, because I'm very like, I'm a laid back, like I like the beach. I don't, all the hustle was too much for me.
Yeah.
So I ended up going back to New Jersey, and again, my mom's like, well, you need to do something. You can't just not do anything anymore. You worked at these
Mhm.
big companies and agencies. So I was like, I want something different. So I have had friends that are nurses and EMTs and firefighters and stuff like that. And like, you really should look into nursing. You might enjoy it. So in 2021, um, I'm sorry, 2011, I applied to, be in the LPN program.
Okay.
And then nurse ever since for
Mm.
that. So
Do,
it's
do
a
you work?
long, like drawn out story, but it's like me like
Huh?
weaving it back in and forth from, the art side to the, science side back to
Mhm.
art. But now I'm like, I'm getting burnt out from being a nurse, and
Yeah.
I'm now working time as a nurse. I have been for the past couple of years, but now I'm trying to be like more full time into the art, like going
Mm.
to shows that.
I mean,
So
you work with a lot of Filipinos?
I did when I worked in the nursing homes, but now
Course.
now that I work in, like in more of like an office type setting, it's
Yeah.
not no more like direct patient care. But
Right.
the
Okay.
Filipinos at the one job that I worked at, they always brought in like the best food. I was like, they're
Yeah.
like, try this, try this. I'm like, is it spicy? And they're like, no,
Yeah.
no, it's really good. But like, I
Uh,
can't do spice. I mean, like, I'm already like, feel like yeah.
well,
It's I have rosacea too. So
Filipino.
when I get
Well,
hot, it's like,
no, yeah, I can relate with that. Filipino cuisine is not known for spicy, so.
yeah.
But no, I guess just as a Filipino, it's always natural for me to ask that. And I always joke with people that are in like the medical field, like especially nurses. I'm like, oh, well, if you're a nurse, you're half Filipino. Like, like so many Filipinos, they come from the Philippines to be a nurse here because it's like, well,
Yeah.
I've had friends, I have a lot of friends that would actually go back to the Philippines, get their nursing degree or their license or whatever, and then come back here and then get a
Yeah.
job. Um, but yeah, it's just like that's the stereotype. It's nursing and Filipinos and nursing. I mean, half my family were nurses. So like I think I'm like one out of two that didn't actually get into actual nursing. I've worked in a nursing home, but
Yeah.
I've never not once took a nursing course. I was like, no, we're good. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can see how that line of work can be very draining. I mean, my wife, she's a speech language pathologist, and sometimes she's like, looking almost for a way out, or just like looking for a less stressful, position. So yeah, I get it. Um, so now, kind of like bringing back the CIA because we've spoken privately about like you're going to be starting the new program, the brand intensive. Um, so how do you are you excited, nervous? Like how you feel about it?
Nervous because I mean, well, and also excited because I know some of the, like, I don't know if you've ever spoken to Chloe. I know that she was in the last class, and
Mm,
Johnny, I think, was in this past class. I don't know, like I watched a lot of their videos from like starting and then now, and like it looks
yeah.
like they're a little bit more comfortable being in front of the camera and stuff like that, and like have more of like, a concise message or something quick and easy. I feel like when I'm doing I'm like they're long drawn out things, and
Hmm.
I'm not very good at editing either. So like when I was filming myself making some of these videos, I was doing it in one whole complete shot,
All right.
and I was like not chopping it up or anything. I mean, because I don't know anything about the
Yeah.
video end of it. If it was print advertising, I'm fine with that. But when it
Right.
comes
But
to
now you're
the video,
exposed. Yeah.
yeah.
No, yeah.
So
I mean,
it was
it's tough for those that aren't like that they're just not used to like that format. So it certainly takes a while to get used to, especially being in front of a camera, you know. But like throughout throughout this like first course, like have you been just like writing down ideas and stuff or like, just
the
just
the only thing that he really told us to do was just to make sure we know, like, from like the first lesson, I guess it's
yeah.
called, where they want you to know like your story, your beliefs, your opponent, and your UBAB.
Yeah.
I'm still like trying to figure that out and stuff like that because
Okay.
I don't feel like to me it's like an instant like, hey, I know what this is answer. It's like I'm more of like I'm definitely an overthinker, so it's gonna take me some time to like kind of like, all right, what I really believe in? Because some of these
Yeah.
people, I mean, they are very like like they know exactly what they're all about and stuff like that. Like to me, I'm just
Yeah.
like I just like painting because I enjoy painting and I enjoy painting the beach and just want to share that with people. I don't know how else to say that where it's like, like, oh, I do this because I don't know.
Mm.
I
I mean,
feel like
honestly,
sometimes
I think it just takes a lot of like sitting down and just thinking about it, because like I was the
yeah,
same way too. And that's the thing, like when it comes to content creating, like I have no issue making videos and stuff, but it was the actual, for me, it was, I really had to focus on learning my story and my message and stuff and how to convey that. And the CIA has certainly helped me sort of find my language a little bit and you know kind of like learn how I can explain that while being, still being authentic. Because, like,
yeah,
I don't know, maybe it's just me, but sometimes you can see some people and it feels very scripted. It doesn't feel like, they still put out great content, but a lot of them still, I don't know, might just be me over analyzing, but some of them are still kind of stiff. It feels scripted. It's like, I want to see like
Mhm.
I want to see them getting loose about it. But
right, right,
yeah, so like, but it's certainly a process, and it's not something that happens overnight. It doesn't, even like a handful of days. Like it definitely takes, it takes time, and like I think, well, we've joined around the same time, right? Maybe like
yeah,
last fall, and I'm starting to think now I'm like getting really much more comfortable on what I want to talk about, how I want to talk about it, So it takes a lot of time. But I really, but the people that do seem like they got it all figured out. I think it's just I think it's just like how much time they invested on like figuring it out, especially like someone like you that has this part-time job. So a lot of this stuff is preoccupying your mind and energy
yeah,
to get that job done. So it's like hard to be able to juggle both because both things
yeah,
require so much attention and investment. So, you know, um, hopefully being in the brand intensive um thing, like hopefully you'll be able to really hone in on what and how you want to say, speak your
yeah.
story.
I mean, I feel like with his like, with the CIA thing, it's like it's very basic, I feel like it's like he does provide a lot of information to us, but it's kind of left up to us to like, we're supposed to take the reins. Like I think that
Right.
this course that I'm going to be taking is going to be a lot more like he's going to be a lot more hands-on with a lot of us. He's probably going to be calling on us, which oh God, I hate when
Mm.
people call on me. But
Yeah.
like I have a feeling he's going to be like, "Oh, well, what did you do today?" Or, what are you
Oh,
work
I see.
what's an obstacle for you?" I feel like it's going to be really like I don't know how many people are in the course. I don't know how many were in the last one, but I think that he said that he was having it open for about 20 or 25 people. But I mean, even
Yeah.
on the regular CIA calls, there's not as I mean, maybe there's like 15, 20 of us at the most.
Mm.
But I don't know. I have a feeling that lesson one is going to be lesson one. It's not going to be like, okay, well, you can finish lesson one in your own time or
Right, right.
whatever. Like I have a feeling it's going to be, this is what we're working on this week. This is the homework for the following week or whatever he wants you to do. I don't think that it's going to be like, real like chill and laid back. I think it's going to be like,
Yeah.
all right, we're doing this, we're
Like
doing this, we're doing this, we're doing
like
this.
less voluntary and less voluntary action. He's probably gonna like start, yeah, like you said, start calling on you.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I don't know if I read it in a post or in an email, but yeah, it's certainly gonna be more focused on your actual brand. So it's gonna be not as much focusing on like I mean, your story and all that is still included,
Yeah.
right? But it's like now it's like how are you going to be able to like start selling? Like it's going to be more about focusing on how to start selling your stuff online or in person as opposed to like trying to find yourself and your audience. Like now it's like now we got to get the audience to like invest in on your brand and that's,
Right.
that's what I think that a lot of it is going to
Yeah.
be. So I'm
Which I
excited.
mean, it's gonna come in helpful I mean, this is my third year at shows, which I mean, at shows, I feel like I'm pretty comfortable when people are coming up to me and approaching me and asking me questions about my art. It's fine, but it's when it's like putting yourself out there and like being on the internet, it seems like forever. But like if you send a
Mm,
thing on Instagram Reels, I feel like it's gone or whatever, or the story thing, that's whatever thing is at the top.
yeah,
It's only there for 24 hours. Like, I guess I have to get that in my head. Like, don't worry about what people are gonna think
that's
about,
so
like, oh, your
funny.
hair's or something stupid.
I feel
But
like it's the opposite. I feel like
yeah.
it's tougher to actually be out there because then, people will see you fuck up if you fuck up. Like if you're doing like a whole pitch in front of someone, there's no editing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
I find it a little more, um, yeah, well, I don't even want to say harder, but I mean, yeah, you're more vulnerable when you're out there trying to
Yeah.
meet people. I mean, if you're like at your table and no one shows up there, like that fucking sucks as opposed to like putting
Yeah.
a video up. I mean, it sucks not to have like the engagement or the interaction you would hope after you make your post, but I mean, that's like, it's going to be up there for like forever theoretically. So,
Yeah.
at least like there's that, but I mean, when you do a show, like that show time, like it's limited. So it's like you gotta, you gotta be on top of your game and try to engage with as many people and try to, like my thing used to always be like, look, if I don't make a sale, as long as I interact with enough people and give out as many business cards as I can, like that's like the worst case scenario. If I can't break
Yeah.
even, if I don't make any sales, as long as I gave out all like, as much business cards as I have. But yeah, but it's important that we gotta like go through the fire. It's the only
Yeah.
way it's the only way you'll
Now,
learn.
what
And
what type of shows are you focusing on mostly? Are they like, the craft type shows, or only art festival
uh
shows, or a mixed bag or whatever like you enjoy doing? Or I always
I
ask that
enjoy
to
it
people,
all.
like other artists.
Yeah, so I tend to do more like artisan, so you got your makers like or crafters. I try to get my foot in the door on all of them. I try to do ones that are just focused on artists, art festivals or these makers markets as they call them here. Um, I mean, I have an art exhibit coming up, so I'm trying to have a presence on all these scenes. Um, like even like I'm even considering trying um, like comic book conventions again and because I have a lot of pop art and fan art. So and every time someone sees me at a market, they're like, and they see that work, they're like, "Oh, have you considered trying this convention here?" And I'm like, "That shit's it's expensive. Like I
Oh
already
yeah.
know the drill. Like them shits are expensive." But something I always forget is that you're paying for like the whole event as opposed to just paying for one day. Like, a lot of these conventions are 2, 3 days. So
Yeah.
a table is like easily $300. And when I hear that, I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't think I can make that back. But I'm still thinking in terms of like, I don't think I can make that back in 6 to 8 hours. It's like, no, you're booked for the whole event. Um, so reminding myself of that, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll give it a try when I have the funds.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, as of now, I just stick with the artisan makers markets. I do a few uh art festivals, particularly in this area, Charlottesville, because they're usually 2 day events, like it's a whole weekend, and I tend to do the best over there in terms of sales. Um, but it's like the market scene here in the city, it's oversaturated. Like that's the thing that's commonly said amongst other, like fellow vendors here is just like, man, because it's true, like there's so many markets happening on one day.
Yeah.
So it's like it becomes quite competitive, you know. But yeah, I've been kind of like I've been off the scene a little bit for like the past like couple months. So I have three events this month, and I'm a little anxious just because like it's been a while, and the first two I'm doing they're new ones I haven't done before, and I've been like trying to keep a close eye on how well things are marketed and promoted. Um, so yeah, like the goal is always like, all right, if I can just make the money back on the table fee, I'll be okay. And I'm just like trying my best not to spend money on prints 'cause just because I don't want to add more expenses. I have enough inventory, but I don't know. I just every time I go back out there, I want to have some new stuff. So um yeah. So to answer your question, I like doing them all if I can. But yeah, I it's funny because like I do feel like a little more at home when I'm amongst like actual visual artists, as opposed to these makers, people that do a lot of jewelry and like trinkets and stuff like that. Um, 'Cause it's just so many of them. Like there have been times I've done markets and I'm like one out of three visual artists, and then everyone there is like a crafter or a maker.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's weird. Like 'cause sometimes it's good to be like the one rarity, like to be that one different type of artist. It's like you could either stick out, like sticking out can
Mhm.
either make or break you. You know,
Yeah.
you can be like
I know.
yeah, so it's just like it's very it's challenging, and it
Yeah.
certainly fucks with your ego a little bit. It's like you start questioning yourself, you start questioning your product, and but yeah, I don't know. But like like with your art, the events that you do, like are yours more like artist based, or are they also involving different types of crafters and makers as well?
When I first started out, I just did whatever like that I thought was cool. The
Yeah.
first one that I did was an actual I don't know if you've ever been to Wildwood, New Jersey, but they have like a huge boardwalk. The beaches are
Right.
humongous. So that was the first event that I did. It was called Boardwalk Crafts Show or something like that. It was a 2-day event. It was over Memorial Day weekend.
Mm.
So there was ton. I mean, I had a girl next to me, like you said, that was doing jewelry, and then the to the other side of me, they were selling like cake pops and brownies and cookies and shit like
Yeah,
that.
a lot of
Well, it was
them
a
too.
mixed bag, but I was pretty much the only artist up there. And unfortunately, I mean, it's beautiful setting. Like it's my artworks of the beach and, the ocean and stuff like and waves. And people are walking by like I wasn't even there because
Yeah,
they're not really
I
shopping
relate.
for art that at that show. And, I learned the hard way, which it's okay. At least I tried. But then there's been other shows that I've attended that have been like huge money makers that were like out of the blue, like, holy shit, like, I can't believe that I did so well here.
Mm,
Um, I'm focusing now, like this is like I said, my third year doing them. I'm trying to focus more on just doing like more art festival type shows.
mm,
Um, I just feel like that last year I did a lot of clunkers. There were a lot of horrible, like really cool events that tons of people were there. But again, nobody is in the market for art at some of these shows.
mm.
I've only found that, if I'm doing like these art in the park type things or art walks, um, there people are going there specifically for art and they're
Right,
looking for a lot of variety or something that they've never seen before.
right.
I did a show last year called Art of Surfing. It was an Ocean City Music Pier. It was like 2.5, really 3-day event. I did incredible there. I met so many incredible people. I had a great time. I hope to be able to be back again this year, but I made a lot of connections. I had people that came up to me that I didn't like when you look at them, like they're not going to be interested in this. And they bought like one of my hugest paintings or, something that, I mean, I'm always super grateful for when anybody that's interested in my art, if they even just ask me about how I do something
Hmm.
or, You know, they're like, hey, I'll come back later. I mean, I never
Hmm.
believe them when they say that, but
Oh yeah. Jeez. I think
um,
I've made like
yeah,
memes about that. Yeah. No, it's
yeah,
true
there's a lot
though. It's true though. Like,
like,
I preach about it a lot. Like for attendees, like even if they're not gonna buy something, but hell, I mean, if you're at least having a discussion about the work, I mean, it like that sometimes alone, like me, it's a lot. It's worth a lot, So,
yeah,
I always talk about just yeah, man, for spectators, visitors, attendees, like if you're going there, but your intention isn't to buy anything because, maybe you just don't have the money for it. But if you strike a conversation with these vendors, like you can easily make their day just by doing that. It means a lot.
I
Yeah.
mean, some of my pieces, like my fence pieces are like they're more of my like, signature pieces that I do. Um, I mean, they're expensive. I don't expect
Yeah.
somebody to be like that's gonna walk in like, oh, I'm gonna drop, like 700, $800 on one of your fences
Right.
or
Of
whatever.
course.
But my thing is when I bring them there, it's to show people that, what I can do. And then it's also like, maybe somebody's getting married, maybe it's a big birthday coming up, or, oh, my mom would really love to have this in her house. Mother's Day is coming up. Like it's
Mm,
something that I give them my business card, that I strike up a conversation with them, and it's like, hey, remember that girl that I saw on the boardwalk? Like I really liked her stuff. Maybe she'd be willing to do something a little bit smaller, or do something a little, it's
yeah.
just so that it can hopefully like remind them. Like I've gotten tons of business cards and talked to other people before I even started doing all my art. I went to a lot of festivals and shows and stuff like that. And like I would literally write on their card, like, like this is what they did, or take pictures of the stuff. And I'd be contacting at another time, like, it's my sister's birthday. I want something for her. Could you make
Yeah.
something? And I've had, you know, bunch of things, for
Do,
friends, my
do you do
mom.
prints? Have you
I
considered
don't right
prints? Oh, okay.
I mean, I have, but I don't, I mean, I would, me being like, having a background in print design, I'd be like, oh, where are the printers around, like around, I was born and raised here, and you would think that I would know more about where I live. And I'm like, I don't have those connections that I used to have when I was in Baltimore, New York City,
Yeah.
about where to print things and stuff like that. Like, I'd have to ask somebody else that does them, but
I mean,
I haven't
there's
just,
how far are you from Trenton? Because I know a print shop in Trenton that could probably do some prints for you if if that were to be
probably about an hour and a half. It's like outside of Philly, so it'd be about an hour and a half away,
yeah. I
probably.
mean, it would, obviously, yeah, there's shipping and handling, but
Yeah.
yeah, because like, like even like with your fence pieces, if you were to get like a nice decent camera,
Mhm.
and just take a shot of it, get a nice high resolution photo of it, do a little bit of digital work on it just to make it seamless, and then you can just sell that as a print.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of options with your type of work where you can, because yeah, no one's gonna have money. Well, not no one, but a lot of people, uh, may not have the money to buy the original, right? So, and that was like something I've learned through my experience of doing this is like gotta have digital copies, prints of your work. Uh,
Yeah.
that way you can still make your make your fees and make
Yeah.
make all your expenses back and hopefully make profit. So, um. Because like yeah, like a lot of these markets that I do, no one's gonna buy my originals. Like I can only sell my originals, or I have a better chance at selling my originals if I'm at festivals or art walks. But it's good to like kind of like almost be like a jack of all trades, like be able to, because I do favor traditional mediums, but it's handy to be able to do digital stuff too. That way, if you need to just digitally remaster something or just do your straight digital illustrations or paintings. Um, but like, because like I believe in like your style of work is yeah, it's captivating and it's I can see how people will feel good, they feel relaxed, they feel at peace looking at your work. So to make that more accessible probably really
Mm,
benefits you along, in the long run.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that's been like on my radar to do, but it's just
Yeah.
like, I mean,
It's
you're like a pretty much a one man show like how I am. It's like I get overwhelmed when I'm like, oh, I got all this shit to like, oh, I got to plan for this event and I got to carry the tables and bring everything. It's just like
yeah.
you
Yeah.
do the best that you can, like,
Of
and I've had
course.
people ask me like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? I'm like, well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. And yeah, it's just time management. Um, at least like with events for the most part, I'm lucky to have my wife to assist me.
Mhm.
Um, because like I used to, because like that was the thing when we were still in Jersey, like I used to do a lot of the art in the parks. I was um very active on the Trenton scene. I would do all their Trenton punk rock flea markets, their art all day events, the art all night events. And back then I used to do on-site commissions and yeah, when I was doing them, it was hard to handle my table and work on commissions at the same time. So my wife started helping me with that and then just continue to help me to this day. Although like here, people aren't yeah, I don't know. I have trouble trying to get people to want to commission art. But yeah, I mean, yeah, when you're a one man show or a one woman show, yeah, it's tough. It's fucking tough. Which is
Yeah.
why, because we always gotta lug shit around. Like that's why well, I haven't as much, but I would always try to promote that just physical health, physical condition, because you need your body to be mobile and
Yeah.
functional so we can carry the things we carry. Um, which supposedly coming up in I think this Sunday is going to be World Health Day or something. So that being said, people be mindful of your health, mental and physical. If you want to build your mental health, physical health can help with that too. But anyway, um, what are your sort of like main inspirations uh, that influence you to create the type of work that you create? I mean, other than, you know, being close to nature, being by the beach and whatnot, are there other artists that you sort of admire and look up to?
I mean, I've always liked Georgia O'Keeffe. I
Mm,
mean, the way that
nice.
she like would like, paint a flower and it was just ended up being like all these like abstract shapes. And I love the way that she blends stuff. So,
Mm,
I mean, like, she also did like, like cow skulls and all these other things, but something that's like I guess me going back to the whole thing with the candlestick, having to paint that in class, like rather than, she still took like an everyday object and made it her own. And like I like that interpretation of it that she does. I mean, there's local artists around here that I really enjoy. They've they, I don't know, they've grown in this area so much and they're like big names here now.
mm,
So they're like my inspiration to like move like continue with my art, like don't stop, keep going. Like I know you might be in like a lull or it's not very you don't feel like things are going very well, but like like they struggled too, and
yeah,
you'll eventually get there. Just you can't just you can't imagine like it's going to be like, okay, it's going to happen overnight type of thing. I've never been
of
that type of
course.
person, but after a while, it's just sort of like, all right, well, when are things going to start picking up? So that's why, like, I started looking into like, the online classes and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
I was with two other, like online people, like trying to help you like grow your business and that type of stuff. But I feel like Lennon, for the most part, like the way that he speaks and how he's kind of like, like he wants you to get deeper into things.
Hmm.
I really like that. The other ones seem like just do like surface type stuff.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
so
well,
yeah.
Lennon is like very emotive, you know, like
Mhm.
there's a lot of like vulnerability, like, you know, he speaks on it about being vulnerable and authenticity and a lot of other like these sort of like business influencers or whatever you want to call them. Like it's very business driven, but it's him, it's like you're peeling more layers into like
Yeah.
what you do and who you are, which is great. And like
Yeah.
it's so funny talking to other artists because like we like some reason we naturally forget that like yeah, none of this shit is easy and it shouldn't be. Like like nothing should be this easy and if it's been easy like there's gonna be a balance. There has to be a balance of it. So it's like if someone's looking like they're really living it up and they've made it, well, sure enough, they went through a ton of shit. They ate a lot of shit, and you know
Yeah.
that's where the balance is. For those that like make it easily, they're probably gonna fall pretty hard, and then
Yeah.
hopefully pick up, you know, get back up. But like this stuff is not supposed to be easy. You know, that's not the way life is it's not the way life is, you know. So none of this
Yeah.
shit's supposed to be easy. Michael Jordan isn't who he is without missing, you know, hundreds of three-pointers before making all of them in, you know, in the big games, in the big leagues, you know. So it's like yeah, every great artist, every great person has gone through shit. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. That should be like the first thing people need to learn when they're like taking upon like any endeavor because like all these lessons and this is like I mean I knew this before getting into the CIA, but like every time we seem to talk about it in the CIA, I'm like, yeah, like all these lessons you can virtually apply them to anything. So,
Mhm.
you know, it's just like, yeah, we just gotta remember, like, you know, this is gonna suck for a while. You know, hopefully not as long as, you know, obviously, you know, in my personal journey, like, yeah, it kind of, you know, I wish I was sort of at a more elevated, you know, at a higher level, but you know, for many people, the journey is like it's either quick or it's slow. The thing that matters is that you stay on track. So yeah, so anytime because like anytime I'm talking, especially aspiring artists, it's like yeah, like you have to like keep like you know like your fellow associates say like you got to keep going. That's all that matters. You just got to keep going. You're gonna fall as long as you get back up. It doesn't matter. So it's just really important to tattoo that into your brain, you know.
It's all about like paying dues. I always heard that all the time when I was
Yeah.
working in advertising. Pay your dues. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you gotta pay
But
your
it's true.
dues.
But also like, like for me, like I want to like be authentic. Like, I mean, people that know me, like I want people that know me and people that don't know me, they would get the same experience. It's not like they're
Of
gonna
course.
get like somebody completely different. So, you know, it's to me like I'm like, all right, well, that's easy for me to do. Like I don't have anything to hide or, anything like that. But it's just for me, like I know like that the new course that I'm going to be taking, like hopefully it's going to like break me out of my shell more. So it's like, all right, so I'll feel a lot more comfortable speaking to
Yeah.
people if it's on the computer, on a video or in person. I mean, like I said, in person I'm okay, or on the phone or whatever. But
Well, with the curriculum that we've learned from just a regular CIA, like how are you actively putting that into practice? Um, even, you know, even though you got this new one coming up, but
yeah,
like before that, like have you been putting all this other curriculum into, you know, into work?
yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
have been trying to. Like, I mean, like you said earlier about like how like like for people that aren't like full-time artists where they have other jobs, like
Yeah.
sometimes like when I work my Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like when I come home I'm just like I'm done, I'm
You're
spent.
way.
Like it's like today I know is a day and it's not going to happen, but like maybe tomorrow
Mm,
like, and I try and write down a few things on a piece of paper and be like, all right, pay attention to this, do this, do this,
mhm.
do this,
Yeah.
and have them as things that are manageable too, not like have like 57 things on there that I know that I'm not going to get to, like have like 2 or 3 things that are achievable and
Yeah.
just, take care of it. But
Yeah.
I know
It's
that I
super
started
fun.
doing watching some of those videos. I don't know if I got into like stage 2 or whatever he calls it.
Mhm.
I don't think I got that far on them.
In the CIA or in the brand
Yeah,
intensive?
for the CIA course, like how he has all these videos.
Yeah, yeah.
There's one that's like staged. I guess when he originally first he asked you if you're a stage 1 or a stage 2,
Yeah.
and then like some people were saying that they were automatically a stage 2. I'm like, well, why don't you just still do the original stuff? Like you don't, I don't
Oh,
know.
like go back to stage one?
Some people want to jump ahead. Like it seems like there's certain people in that course that they will always want to jump ahead. It's like, well, why don't you just like complete
Uh,
this stuff first and see if
that's funny you
because
said
to
that.
me, like I'd be like, all right, I feel like I'm missing something,
Yeah.
like
That's funny you said that because because yeah, you would take that like quiz in the beginning to see what stage
mm,
you're at, and I got stage two, but I
yeah.
unknowingly started from stage one because
Mhm.
like I'm like going through like the questions and stuff there in stage one. It's kind of been a while now, but I
Yeah.
remember like answering these questions, and like a lot of it like I already knew the answers to, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I'm like, this stuff is kind of easy. Like, what's going on here? And I realized I was doing stage one, questions and like the lessons. I'm like, oh, all right. And then once I got into stage two, then I'm like, okay, now this is like where it's starting to get challenging. But I mean, it's still, yeah, it's important to like, yeah, try to get all of that done first. You got to do I mean, you got to do the work, right?
Yeah.
Without jumping ahead. Because like, when you jump ahead, you're gonna be lost. So, and that's the thing, like I was saying before, for me, I definitely feel more comfortable about the content I make now. It's really just a matter of trying to stay ahead of hitting that burnout, the content burnout. Like that 2030 challenge, like the first one at least, because I've only did the first one. Seems like other people are doing them or continue to do more of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely at least because yeah, that was in October. So for me, that shit was exhausting because I was also doing the Inktober challenge. So like each day is like a different word. So I'm just like, what am I gonna do for this Inktober thing? And then like I'm trying to come up with like, all right, what's gonna be my content for this one? Oh, I gotta think of like a story content, or I gotta think of message, or like whatever. Like I was certainly fried. That was such a busy month, but it was good to experience because then you definitely learn something there. But I feel like I feel I've been more. I don't know. It's easier for me to come up with ideas for the most part. Like I write everything down in my phone, like idea wise, and then like when I have some downtime, usually it's when I'm on the toilet, I'll like think of a script and then do my writing. Yeah.
So for me, it's like when I'm like getting ready to go to bed, the lights are already off, and like I'm trying to like like shut my brain off, and
Oh
then all of a
yeah.
sudden like all these things start popping in. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, So
Yeah.
you have to. I should have like a little pen or something by my bed and pen and paper by my bed because like I think of all this stuff, or when I'm driving and I'm like, well, I
Mm.
can't do anything here now.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But
It's funny because like so I don't know if like we've spoken about like stand-up comedians, but I mean it's like that's what they go through as well. Like they'll try to go to bed. I mean, they're already going to bed late as hell because they did a set or something that night. But oftentimes, it's like it's kind of like how jokes come to them. It's the same as
Mhm.
how ideas come to us. It's like it's
Yeah.
pretty much the same thing. It's like, oh shit, I can't, I gotta get this down before whatever. And yeah, if it's like you're about to go to bed and then that idea sparks. I mean, sometimes that happens with me, like if I'm working on a piece and then
Mhm.
clocking out and join my wife in bed, and then like if I know there's like a section on the drawing or the painting that needs tweaking, it's like I gotta go back in there and just do this last touch up. It's yeah, it all relates, but gotta get it done. But it's important to like keep writing your ideas down, even if you don't get to execute a video for it. Just write it down. How do you feel about using like Chat GPT for your like content writing wise?
I've never used it. I
Uh,
know there's another person that I speak to from the CIA. He's always using it and he's sending
yeah.
me stuff all the time. I'm like, how did you come up with this? And he's like, oh, it's this Chat GPT. I'm like, I've never used it. I don't know what this is. Because I'm old, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
So Lena uses it too. And
Yeah,
but it's kind of funny because like I can tell she uses it now. Like I mean,
yeah.
now that I know she uses it, when I see her videos, I'm like, yeah, sounds like Chat GPT. Yeah, I like to bust her chops sometimes in her videos because
Yeah.
she does a lot of what I call TikTok hands, or like
Uh-huh.
she says Italian gestures. So there's a
Oh, yeah,
lot of
yeah.
this and a lot of this shit going on, and I'm like, yo, you gotta chill with those TikTok hands.
Yeah. Oh
She
my
said
gosh, that's funny.
she sent me it was one video. She's like, oh, if you think that's bad, you should see this. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll pass. I know how bad it's gonna be. And then I watched it and I'm like, yeah, that shit was distracting.
Yeah.
But she's
I
cool
feel
about
like
it.
what I have seen with the Chat GPT stuff that he sent me, it's like, like these really big, like embellished words. And I'm like, you don't speak like that. I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, well, that's the
'cause
argument,
he does
right?
it
Like,
sometimes to name his paintings too. And I'm like, well, I kind of like this one and I like this one down here. I'm like, why don't you like, like merge the two? And he's like, oh, and like,
yeah, I think that's what a lot
it's
of
interesting though.
I think that's what a lot of users do, for the most part. Like, I mean, that is the beauty of it, right? Is like
Yeah.
you kind of like insert your ideas and stuff and then chat because like I've never used it either, but just from what I've gathered is yeah, you kind of like insert what it is you want to speak about and then it'll draft this thing and it's most likely going to be a very elaborate whatever, and then I guess you either kind of just rerun it and try to tweak it as much till it sounds like you, but like that's
Yeah.
that's kind of like where I sort of like feel indifferent because it's like if you want it to sound like you, just write it.
Right.
Because that's the thing. Like not that I'm writing a lot for my content, but like I'll write like a spiel that I want to talk about, and then I kind of just rehearse it, and then I do my own what do you call it, like ad libs or whatever. I just kind of like improvise a little bit, and if that
Yeah.
feels more natural, if it's something I can memorize easily, then I'll kind of like edit the writing so that like, oh, this now it feels like I'm just talking. I'm not, you know, remembering a script. Although in a way I am kind of remembering a script, but it's like these are like my words that I've written down myself. And that's the thing, like going back to Lena, it's something I've been meaning to mention to her. It's like I'll watch her videos and I can tell when she's well, I haven't confirmed, so she'll probably never hear this. But it looks like in some of her videos,
I'm joking.
it looks like in some of her videos, she's reading off of a script. Like I can see her
Yeah.
eyes doing the thing. So I'm like, this chick is fucking reading right now. And I and that and the thing that would give me a signal for it is like she's not doing as much hand gestures. So like the
Yeah.
less hand gestures, the more reading she's doing. And I don't
Yeah.
know. I just like to bust her chops. So we always go at
Yeah.
each other. Yeah. But
Funny.
yeah, no, I'm excited though for you about this brand intensive. I wish part of me wishes like I would have been able to get up on it, but yeah, I don't know. I just knowing my habits, I would think that what's happening even with the regular CIA, like I'm kind of like more of a drifter now, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to like ease my way out of it as soon as I finish. But like that's the thing. Like I wouldn't want to do that with the brand intensive, but I'm really excited for you to you know take these steps to grow. It's really important. Um, Now, when it comes to your paintings, do you worry about running out of things to paint or like ideas?
Not usually, no.
No.
I mean, like it's for me, it's like I like doing like more like the blue sky. I always have a hard time with the clouds. They're never the same. They're always weird, like looking things. But I try different techniques to see which ones I end up liking. And then depending on the waves part, and then like the beach part, some of them will include like the sand, or like the foamy stuff at the bottom, where the waves breaking onto the beach.
Mm,
But I was trying like play with colors. I did one that was kind of like a sunrise or a sunset series where I actually put different types of color into the water, and the the waves breaking and stuff like that.
mm.
So I mean, it's just I always, I'm always like snapshotting other people's like, photographs, like, oh, that's a pretty thing. Like I can use those clouds for this or whatever.
Mm.
But I like painting the beach. Like I've had people say, "Oh, can you, paint my bird or whatever?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, it's not going to turn out the way you want it to look like. I don't want to disappoint people either. I mean, like what
Yeah.
you do, like, you do all these portraits and, all this types of stuff. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, I wish I would be able to draw or paint like that, but that's just not my style, or
Well, have you
I don't
considered?
interested in it either. I mean,
Okay.
like I said, I can appreciate other people that can do it and do it well, like how you do, but for me, like it's not something that I'm interested in.
Hmm.
It's like, like if some people would like, like, oh, I really like eating strawberries. I'm like, I could care less type of thing. I mean,
Well,
sometimes I like them.
and that's like, kind of ties into like knowing, like getting deeper into what your story is, right? It's like eh, you'll, you discover that it's more than just like I enjoy painting this or whatever. Like when you start peeling off those layers, and it's like an onion, right? It's like once you get deep enough, you start understanding some of the deeper reasoning as to why you just enjoyed painting this or that. um you know, and that's, and it's a process. Like we've said it earlier, like how much of a process that is. Because like that's how I felt about when I would work on pop art, like fan art. Like a lot of my stuff um revolves around, like late 80s, 90s cartoons. And I always kind of just wrote it off as like, this was, it brought me back to the simpler times and stuff like that. And or like um you even before that, it was just like, yeah, it's like what I grew up on, and people liked it. It was a way for us to connect. But then I realized, oh, it's because of how much I really enjoyed the simpler life, the simpler times. Um, and Also even just like understanding that era, in terms of like just, like film, like you just find a lot of things that you can appreciate. And I think at least for me, when I'm thinking about it now, it's like I've been really focused on like delayed gratification. There's something about that I think ties in with everything that I like like to work on. But yeah, it's just like, but again, right? I'm speaking from a position of like I do this full time. Like it's not easy when you have a job. And like I was in that position too. Like I've been a vendor for like fucking like easily 10 years now. It's just I've never been this consistent with like these market events because there wasn't a thing prior to COVID. But I've been vending since like, yeah, for like 10 years, maybe a little more now. Um, And where was I going with that? I don't know. It's just it's a long learning experience. And yeah, I mean when you're doing, especially when you're working on original art, right? It is like it's kind of nerve-wracking. You don't know when someone's gonna like it or not. And you were saying before, like how you were at one of your events and like people would kind of just pass you by and then go to like the people that make jewelry and stuff or the baking. Like that resonated with me because I've been there numerous times and there have been times where I'm at these like especially like these punk rock flea markets. I'll see guys like walking with like Walking Dead or the Evil Dead t-shirts and I'm like, I have zombie art. Had Evil Dead fan art and they would look at it and then just move on. I'm like, oh, like me and my wife were, we'd look at each other thinking, oh man, we could have sworn that was going to be a cell. And
Yeah.
you never know. It is like a gamble when you're out there. But
Yeah.
um,
It's like seeing people that have like, like Metallica shirts or whatever, and it's like, oh, like, hey, yeah, I'm a fan too. What's your favorite song? And they're like, I don't know. It's
oh
like,
yeah,
are
fucking
you really
posers.
a fan?
Those goddamn posers. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's
Or
frustrating.
you see something of like an obscure band. Like, I mean, I grew up in the 80s as well, like, and I love all that stuff. I love all the music, but I also kind of like, when I was in high school and college and stuff like that, like transitioned to like, listening to like a lot more alternative, like heavy metal, like hard rock, punk music.
Mm.
And I saw somebody one time with like a Descendants. I don't know if you know that band,
Oh
punk
yeah.
band, Milo had Milo Goes to College shirt on, and I was like, yeah, I'm like, awesome, Descendants. And he's like, this guy looked at me like I had like 5 heads. I'm like, you don't know who you're wearing the shirt. It's like,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
I mean,
my guess
I
would be he
have,
probably just liked the art. Who knows?
yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that's cool too, but it's like, okay, well, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like pay attention to what you're wearing, like, like, I mean,
Exactly. Yep.
and then I have a brother and sister who are 2 years younger. They're twins, and then I have a younger brother who's 8 years younger than me. And I mean, all of us are really close, but my youngest brother, like him and I really bonded over like all this music. So when I started listening to all that music, now he's starting to like all that type of stuff. So I mean, it's really cool. Like
So, so you
like
have
I
three
I just saw
siblings?
him.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. I don't know if we've touched on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly that's how I am with my siblings too. At least in like just regards to music. Like I'm the youngest and
Mhm.
like I kind of was um I first grew up on late 90s, early 2000s hip hop R&B because of my older brother. And then my sister got me into like rock, alternative rock, like Linkin Park, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Taproot. Um, and then my oldest, he kind of got me into, of course, like other bands from his day, but he got me into like movie soundtracks and scores and stuff. So it's just like it's cool when you have siblings from different generations that can influence you with all these different types of music. So like, that's why when people like, oh, what kind of music you like? It's like, fuck, man. Like, you want to sit down for this? Because like I,
Yeah.
because like my taste is, I have an eclectic taste of music because of my siblings.
Mhm.
Um, but that's really cool that you had that bond with your youngest sibling. Like, it's yeah,
I mean, it's
people.
funny because we have like all these like, like we have like a secret language almost where we like will say things to each other and all of a sudden we just start cracking up laughing and stuff. Like my youngest brother, I mean, he wasn't, well, he was born in 81. Um, like growing up, we always had like, like Nintendo or
Oh
Atari
yeah.
and stuff like that. So, but for the longest time, like when he became like college age, he was like, hoarding records and like Nintendo
Mm.
systems and you know, all
Oh
these
yeah,
different types of things. ColecoVision. I mean, he's got boxes of like games in his house and stuff like
that's
that. And his
awesome.
fiance is just like, when are you gonna get rid of this stuff?
Never keep that
Yeah.
shit.
But
It,
they all like, you know, they're all into like all they do is play like records now. They don't even listen. I mean, they have like, you know, stuff on their iPhones and stuff, but they're always like playing
Vinyl's still
records.
kicking. People love
Yeah.
vinyl and
Yeah.
retro video games. That's what I'm saying. And shit, it's so funny, right? Because like some of my friends, they'll bring up, oh man, you heard about this game coming out, and it's like, yeah, like I have no interest. Like I'm going backwards while everybody is going forwards with like
Yeah.
new movie, like all the new shit coming out. I'm like, I'm still playing Castlevania, like the original, or like I'm still trying to beat Mega Man 2. Like, if you
Yeah.
would, I have an Xbox One, but I
Yeah.
have more retro games in that system than new. Like, I mean, I can't even say current games because they're old games now, but even still, like I've been like purchasing these like game packages from the retro days. So I'm
Yeah.
like Lion King and like like whatever I can get my hands on that's like old school, considered retro now. And it's like, but for me, it's because I missed out on that stuff. Again, like I was born in '86 and I didn't really own my first game system till like Nintendo 64 came out. Like, I had to like ask permission to play my brother's Super Nintendo or whatever. So like all those games that came out during that great era, I missed out. So I'm like trying to catch up. That's what I've
Yeah.
been doing. But
Well, I went over to my brother's house. He has two boys. They're my nephews, and they were playing some game that looked like some kiddie version of like Grand Theft Auto. So I'm like looking over to like my one brother. And I'm like, what do you got them playing? I said, this looks like GTA. And they started cracking up laughing. Because they're like able to like, like jump off like these things, steal like a ice cream truck or a motorcycle. And I'm like, all right, well, where's like, like the hooker in the back alley that you can like, that you can kill, and then the other one and stuff like that, like all these craziness. I'm like,
Oh
what? I'm
god.
like, are you getting them ready for Grand Theft Auto eventually? Because I think they're coming out with another version of that as well. I
Probably.
don't have game systems anymore, but
Yeah.
it's
Well, it's
insane.
hard to
And
have
like,
time for that
yeah,
stuff. And that's the thing, right? Like being an adult, man, like to have that time for those recreational activities is like, ugh, especially again when you have a job. Also, it's like, and I think that's what I was getting at too. Before, like when I was talking about my early years of being a vendor, like I was working when I was working too. Like, yeah, that shit's like exhausting trying to like manage your time and manage your energy to create after a full shift. Like this job at Michael's, I was a replenishment worker. So and I was the graveyard shift. So I was like I was part of the crew that would unload the trucks and set up the planograms, like the aisles and stuff, and put the product out. Um, but I mean, it kind of worked out for me because like I was able to like I can get up and be awake like no problem. So like it almost kind of worked out where I can get my get through my job, and then maybe I'll, depending on the job, I'll take a little nap, and then I'll just like spend the rest of the day working on some artwork or whatever. Um, but then once I was working some other regular like 9 to 5s, yeah, that shit's like it's draining. So like how do you speaking of, how do you find that window of time to work on your craft? Is it just when
well, I'm
your
only
days off?
yeah. I mean, like the 3 days that I'm working, like they're all like jumbled together. So it's like it's not like it's like oh I work one day and then I'm off two and then I work another one. Like they're all together now.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and it's a lot easier for me to like okay, this is my nurse mode or whatever, and I'm gonna get this done. I also still do like freelance stuff for some of my friends in Baltimore,
Okay.
for some of their design stuff. So every once in a while, they'll send me, hey, can you help out with this or whatever. So it's just trying to fit in the time and stuff like that. And right now, I'm not really painting as much. I'm trying to figure out the frames. I bought like a miter saw last year. So again, like I said before, I'm horrible with math.
Same,
So
don't
like
worry.
trying to figure out like, like the dimensions of these things and cutting it. I cut it a little too big sometimes because I'm like, all right, if it's wrong, I can cut, I may be able to cut it down. But if I cut too much off, I'm like, oh, it goes in the
Uh,
scrap pile. I need to
rule of
use it for another
thumb.
time.
The rule of thumb is measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm terrible at
For me,
math
it's going to
too,
be
so
measure 100 times before. So, but I'm trying to figure that out. And then a friend of mine, her father passed away a couple years ago, and he had a router table because I was going to buy a router, and she's like, no, don't, we have something for you. So
no.
her and her mom gave me this router table, and I've been trying to play around with that to like, do different things with that. So
Mm.
it's more of like the, developmental types. It's not necessarily like my artistic phase right now. I'm trying to like, once
Just
I'm
develop.
able to figure out that, I can knock out the rest of the stuff. Like, because the
Yeah.
painting stuff, I'm in a good flow with that. But it's like when I hit these roadblocks along the way, it's like, okay, well, I'm trying to do this. Let's try and like figure that out. So to me, it's like I
Mm.
have to like take a lot more time, focus, and then once I'm in there, it's good. Like I can just like, it's like an assembly line, but
Yeah, you
it's
got to
like
get all your ducks in a
it's
row, kind
jammed
of.
up.
Yeah. Yeah, math, I'm with you on there with the math. It's not my strong suit. And I think I don't know, I hate to make this claim for all other artists, but I do feel like generally for artists, like we're not good at math. At least like
Especially
every
when it's like,
artist.
well, how much does this cost, or is the tax included? That was a
Oh
big thing. Like
God.
people are like, is the tax included? I'm like, it's included. Like, you're good. Like I'm not doing 27.18 or whatever for
Oh
something. It's
yeah.
gonna be like $27 or $28. Like I'm not dealing with
Yeah.
that crazy.
Oh yeah, I get
But
flat rates for my stuff too. I'm like
yeah,
I'll hear like my neighbors at the markets, like, when I'll overhear what they're charging. Oh, 15.27. I'm like, what the fuck? Just make it $15. Like,
yeah.
well, I get
Yeah.
it, like with taxes and stuff, but I don't know, like I, I
Well,
just keep my shit flat rate. It's just less hard.
yeah. Do you use
Unless
like
like
a
you're
square
dealing with
reader?
fees. I'm sorry?
Do you use like a square reader? The
I do, but
things are like quite
I still keep like everything is still
yeah.
at a flat rate. If anything, I think my online shop you'll get like taxed, right? There'll be
Yeah.
but when I'm doing events like I have mine set for like just flat rates. Um unless well, I don't know, like my past customers have been good about like because like if people are paying through like other apps like Cash App or Venmo or PayPal, at least like with Cash App, I've noticed like they've actually would accommodate to like because there is a fee. Like if
Yeah.
I'm charging $15, sometimes I forget that they're gonna take out what, I don't know, 3% or
Yeah.
whatever. Again, bad at math, right? But
Yeah.
the customers, they like already know like, oh, like it's gonna be a little, they accommodate to that, which I'm grateful for. But I mean, if they didn't, I probably, what am I gonna do? I told them $15. But but yeah,
Yeah, because
I try to keep it easy.
I had a couple of people that I met over the past couple of years, and they're like, well, when if I need to use a square reader, they're gonna be charged $2 extra or something like that. And I'm like, I'm not dealing with that. Like the price is the
Hey,
price. Like I'm
yeah,
not, I mean, I see it as like, as me as a business owner, I'm just going to take on that number or that, whatever, like regardless of whatever they're doing. Um, I mean, I also try to include like, when I give them a bag and like, like the bubble wrap and all that type of stuff. Like I try to
right,
include that all in the price. So it's not like
right.
it's,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
how
try
I
to,
treat my commissions, like that too. Like you try to
yeah,
include shipping and handling,
yeah,
just to like, take that ease off of their mind if they gotta like, oh, is
yeah,
it gonna be extra fees? Like, no, like everything is included. Don't worry.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not sitting here figuring out the tax right now. I'm sorry. Like, I'm trying to wrap things up for you, and like, you don't have to spend like 45 minutes here with me. It's like, you want to see other things, I'm sure. So,
Right, right. Yeah, right. Just want to be quick. Just swipe or insert and you are good to go.
I had
Yeah.
one issue with somebody wanting to pay with Apple Pay, and because I had that on my signs that I accepted it, and now I've just taken it off because I had two instances with something and it got screwed up, and I was like, I'm not dealing. Like, I have so many other options, for accepting payments and stuff like that. I'm
Mhm.
like, the
Yeah,
one person that comes one time a year or whatever for an Apple Pay, like, you can pay with something else. Sorry, buddy.
yeah. Right. That's the thing. There's so many options. Like I don't even bother with Apple Pay. People have asked me, but like if I say no, it's like, okay, I'll use Venmo then. Like
Yeah.
they guaranteed
Venmo is like,
they'll have at least
I've
three
had
out of the other, dozens of options. So it's like, yeah.
I mean, I've had PayPal since, like eBay's been around for the most part, but like
Yeah.
to become a business owner or whatever, like I thought so many people would be using the PayPal. It's either Venmo or the Square Reader or Cash. They're the main things that I get, people using, and people love Venmo. Like,
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
I was like, what?
I rarely, very rarely have people pay with PayPal. And it's not because I don't offer it. Like I offer it, but
Yeah,
it's like you said, people often will have Venmo ready or Cash App in my case. People
yeah,
kind of, they like to use Cash App, and then yeah, they use my Square Reader too. It's like, yeah, as long as you have three options, I think they'll be fine.
yeah. Like, I have plenty for people. It's like it's good. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. Um, so what was I gonna ask you? I kind of actually want to go back to the topic of AI because this is like a general topic I get into amongst other artists and creatives. But what are your general overall views on AI creations?
I don't have any. I don't know
I don't
what they are.
know, like no like concerns, no like, you know.
Oh, you mean like
Well, just like how
are you talking?
it's impacting, um, not only how it's impacting artists, but and like in other jobs, but also how it's just affecting our society.
Do you mean with like people that are like, if somebody calls you up and says like, "Hey, I'm in the hospital and I need help,"
Oh,
and it's really not your mother or something like
and
along those lines?
I mean, it can be
Is that
that,
what
but like anything, because like
oh,
I have like thoughts on many aspects of AI because it's a
oh.
very nuanced conversation when you really get down and dirty about it. But yeah, I just like to see like, if people are concerned about it or if they praise it. I just like to see where generally, um, where people stand on it, in this current day.
I mean, for me personally, I don't know that much about it. So I
Okay.
don't I don't know, but
But you don't worry.
um
Well, like kind of like so we'll touch on like what you said before about like getting like those AI phone calls. Like, is
yeah.
that at all concern for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I'm just like, what the like, I'm like, I don't need do I need to have a safe word with my mother to be like, is this really you? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That type of stuff really kind of freaks me out. Like, I don't know. There's probably maybe about 10 years ago, there's a show on TV called The Hunted or The Hunt or something like that. And it was
Mhm.
about groups of people that could kind of like go off the grid, and they had to like get to the end, and they couldn't use like credit cards or anything like that. Like, and it just showed how everything's being filmed, everything is being monitored. I guess because and the other thing is I watch all these shows, these conspiracy shows
Yeah.
like Homeland or House of Cards and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
it's just like things that are completely beyond like I things I would never would have dreamed of, that I'm sure that are realities. Like, that
Yeah.
that freaks me out, that type of stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's what you were meaning for me to like talk about with the AI. Like I said, I don't know that much about AI. The AI I think of is Adobe Illustrator for AI.
Same, same. Yep.
But I mean, like anything where it's like, something is going to be, represent. I mean, I guess you could say like even like in car factories, how they had, robots making cars. Maybe that's where that type of stuff maybe has started it, the whole Terminator type stuff.
Like Skynet.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like that type of stuff, like, ooh, it scares
Yeah.
me.
Well, I used to like kind of fear monger it on it, and like, I was very, just very concerned and worried, especially from an artist aspect. You hear a lot of artists like, I mean, basically because you got these AI artists, as they like to call
Oh, okay.
themselves. Like there's a lot of that. Like it's so like I'm very kind of fluid with like how I feel about it because I can see where the benefits are, but then obviously I can see where there can be, harm too. So, um, but like I will say like from a like a creative perspective, I used to be really like boo, but I think the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, the more I hear other discussions about it. I think it's gonna eventually run its course because while we're still in a very early stage of AI, even though it's like it's growing at a very exponential rate, it's gonna run its course, I think, because it's so fast. People's attention spans are so short now that like, oh, cool, like you got this cool painting or you got this quote unquote new song by Michael Jackson or whatever. Like you can
Yeah.
and it's affecting the film industry, especially like the animation industry. But it's like but eventually it's gonna run its course because we're gonna get bored of it because probably the mass production of it. Whereas I basically did a video on this earlier today because like I think the pendulum's gonna swing back where people are gonna want authentic content again. Even
Yeah.
if like this movie isn't that great, but at least we know that it's like, man-made, like it wasn't AI. It wasn't, like
Yeah.
this movie, this song, whatever it is, it all started with an actual human being. And we're gonna go back to, I mean, we're still like there's still a lot of consumers out there that still appreciate it, but after everyone comes down from the high from AI, like I think they'll go back to appreciating, things that were authentically made. That being said, though, I do think there are benefits to like how AI can be applied to, the medical industry, with medicine and stuff. Um, so yeah, it's just like I said, it's a very nuanced conversation, but I just like to see like where when the topic of AI is brought up, where do people tend to go with their line of thinking? Because especially if I'm speaking to artists like yourself, they'll often be like, "Yeah, fuck AI," because it's like data scraping, other artists' work to make this one painting. Like there's a lot of controversy with that. Like a while ago, someone entered an art painting that was an AI painting and won the contest, but then I think it got revoked because of all these things, right? And so it's just like, yeah, I mean, that's why I like to bring it up. I just like to see where people, yeah, I guess to see like where their understanding is of AI and its current impact. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it's hitting all the things, right? It's not just art, it's hitting the medical industry, you know, I guess like it's the government or whatever, like, they're probably gonna use it for war, like so it's just like a
But
matter of
yeah,
like where do people tend to think about when when the discussion of it is brought up.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think when the way you started it saying like, it was probably set out to be something that was good, and then like it got, you know, there's a way that people can like, use these things for bad things. Like that would be my concern. Like,
Yeah, of course,
I don't mind
naturally.
if it's, something to, technology driven and try to like, like enhance life and make things better. But, if things are going to be used for like, oh, we're going to use this AI whatever to steal people's credit cards by just, having them on the table or close
Yeah.
by or whatever, something like that. It's like, what the hell? Like
Yeah.
there was
The,
something
the the sense of
news.
security almost seems to go out the window when AI
Yeah.
is applied. And that's the thing too. Like I do believe there should be some sort of regulation for it, right? Like I don't know how or like what could be done, but I just think like yeah, there should be like AI shouldn't just be like in the palm of our hands like our phones. Like I guess it depends on the usage, right? There's got to be some accountability on the use of it. Like if people are using AI to make fun images and whatever, like okay, but there's got to be a way to like track how that's being used. And I don't know, like sometimes when I think like when I start thinking this way, I'm like, am I like becoming a communist or some shit? But it's like I don't know. It's a very complicated phenomena because it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
But you're
it's gonna be
but
like
you might
Mad
be in
Max.
the minority. Unfortunately, you're probably in the minority of like actually thinking about it. Other people are just like, oh, whatever, like no thought about it, or like I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe like me not being educated on it or whatever, just because it hasn't necessarily come up on my radar type of thing where, because I'm not always watching the news or anything like
right.
that. Like that's another thing. Like ever since like COVID, it just seems like everything's been so negative. I'm just like, all right, well, I'm done
Yeah, I
here.
don't
Like I
blame
don't feel
you. I
this.
don't blame you for that. I'm the same
Yeah.
way, or at least I kind of was the same way. Like I would just try to avoid as much as I can, but sometimes shit sneaks into my algorithm because I watched a video for 2 seconds too long. Like yeah, it's a very complicated matter. But but just to I guess to keep it in the theme of art, I am like pretty strict about it. Like I'm a purist when it comes to the craft. It's like, like people that call themselves like AI artists can get the fuck out. Although I will say, like I know one artist that I follow who's a phenomenal like an actual artist. He's a digital artist, and I think he also like did traditional stuff too. But he, of course, naturally amongst the herd would start doing some AI stuff too. But I do recall him clarifying in his post that like the data that whatever the tool that he uses, the all the data that it goes through is just his data. Which
Oh,
like okay, if that's so it's like, and that's the thing, like it's like if that's the case, all right, I guess you get a pass as long as like the public knows or whatever, just as long as there's like some way again, like to kind of like regulate whose data you're using. If you're an artist and you want to make AI art, as long as that data you're using is like based off of all of your stuff from the past, then I don't have a problem. But it's just so hard to track that kind of shit, especially I guess like today. Like maybe in the future, uh, when I'm dead, they'll have it fine tuned. But that's just that's just the hope. Is like all right, because I there was like this one guy, one AI artist that like created these sort of he would create these they were cool videos They're like these like dreamlike sequences, but it all would just start with like a photo or just like a video of him like jumping or like just doing one simple action, and then it would like transition into this crazy like animated sequence. And like, sure, from like the untrained eye or just like from any normal consumer, whoever, it's like, oh, that's really neat. It's like, yeah, it's cool when you don't know how much data of other artists and other people like that video is using. Like, so again, like breaking down, all that's like it's less cool because it's not all of their stuff that that's incorporated with their art. So that's where start becoming like a purist. It's like as long as it's your stuff, man, have at it. Like I covered this one article on the podcast about a it was a book author, and they got I think they're getting sued because they used AI for their cover art. Now they were working with, I think, like Adobe has like this sort of like association with AI. Like I don't know the specifics, but they have like their own sort of generator. So the author used that to create their book cover, but then I don't know if it was somehow it basically got flagged because they found a partial of a signature from
Oh,
like, whatever billions or whatever, data that it used to create this one image, but somewhere in that image, part of a signature was on there, and it's like, oh, like bitch, you're using someone else's art was just used in that fragment there, and it's just like, so it's
I mean,
fucking tricky.
even when I worked in, advertising and stuff like that, or if I did like do like a campaign for, whatever the client was, we would do like, I mean, I guess in a way this is kind of like that, but maybe not. Um, we had to like search for like stock images, and then like, like there'd be like watermarks all over it. But then when you wanted it, you purchased it. So then,
Right.
you know, you could only use it for that. Like, let's say we made a poster out of it, like, or, we had to like, there was certain criteria, like it couldn't be used like multiple times. It couldn't use the same image multiple times for, Citibank and GoPro or whatever. Like it couldn't be
Yeah.
like all over the place. You had to buy licenses for each one of those every single time.
Right.
Uh, it kind of sounds like a little bit something similar with that. But I mean, like
Yeah.
I've seen, I have Photoshop and like all these other programs, and I've seen this generate thing pop up, and I've seen
Mhm.
people on videos using it, like, oh, I want a flamingo here, and like it's like no, and I think there's a commercial of it. It's like, no, not that flamingo. I want this other flamingo or
Yeah.
a unicorn things or something like that. And I'm like, I guess it's generating all these things from like a stock library of images, but are those images licensed? Are they
Right. That's the
royalty free?
question.
Yeah, that, that's the thing. So that sounded like what you were explaining with that whole like thing where like plagiarism came along,
Yeah. I think,
using
yeah, I think
somebody's
that's
thing, but
correlated.
not using it. I think there was another video that I saw. I think it was like somebody on Instagram, and this woman does like watercolors, and it was literally something in Michael's or Hobby Lobby or one of these places that
Hmm.
was literally her artwork. She showed it on her phone, and then it was like on a printed like flag or something. I was like, what the hell?
Oh shit.
So, I mean, it might happen where like, you might see something of yours and be like, what the hell? Like I didn't make this. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't I don't like where that's going.
we can only hope that our stuff doesn't get used, but like, how would we know?
Well, that
Like
was
I
another
told,
thing. Like when I started doing my fences, I when I came up with that idea, it was 1996, and like, for the longest time I wasn't painting or doing anything. And then, when I started recently doing all these again, I was like, well, let me do a search and see if anybody has done any like beach fence paintings, and nobody had done them. And then
mm,
now I go to shows and I have people taking pictures. Do you mind if I take pictures of your stuff? Go ahead, I don't care.
Yeah.
Now I may have to be like, well, what are you using this for? Like,
It's like,
is
can
it
I
gonna be
be in
on
it?
like a Christmas card or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, like, can I be in
Can
the
you put my name
photo?
on it? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. I actually used to do something similar like that too. Like when I would create some like fan fiction stuff, like basically I would like to take like two retro cartoon characters and like, illustrate them in the same setting, basically. Or I would like mash them up. Um, but I would Google that, I would go on Google and search and be like, like Casper and Slimer, and then see if like what kind of results would pop up, just so I can make sure, my original, like my idea wasn't too close, to what's been done. Um, I mean, it's much like comedy. I hate to bring comedy up again, but a
Yeah.
lot of comics will like be like, "Hey, have you done this premise before?" Because obviously they don't want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's like very much relatable to like what we're talking about here. But it's
Yeah,
just I'm
I
sorry.
hear about I hear about comics all the time saying like that person stole my material. Like
Joke
was it
stealing.
George Lopez? George
Hmm.
Lopez or something like that was charged with stealing, and then there I think maybe Dane Cook or somebody else
Oh, well, Dane Cook's been
like was charged.
accused. He's been accused. But I
Yeah.
think you're thinking of Carlos Mencia. He's famously
Oh, that's the
known
one.
for, yeah, he was famously known for stealing jokes. Um, and it was Joe Rogan that called him out on it live on stage in the
Yeah.
90s. Yeah, it was crazy. But it's true. And I mean,
He
Cat Williams kind of,
that guy he used to be around everywhere, that Carlos Mencia.
I
I remember
know.
like didn't he have a Comedy Central show and now
Yep.
like never heard of him
Yeah, well, he's back on the road. He's doing comedy again, and I only know that because the guy that's been touring with him, um, uh, like I've had him on the podcast a couple times, and he's open for Carlos Mencia, numerous times. So like, um, and he's been on like other like Carlos Mencia himself has been. I think he's been on a couple of podcasts, just trying to promote his tour. But yeah, joke stealing is very much a thing. Cal Williams, he kind of blew up the internet, whistleblowing like
again.
Steve Harvey stealing his joke, and Cedric the Entertainer stealing his joke. Like, yeah, it's a known thing now. It's wild, but it sucks when that happens. And hopefully it's not gonna happen to me. Hopefully it's not gonna happen to you or anyone else. Because that shit sucks.
Yeah.
Um, I have one more question for you, and this is a question I'm trying to make a regular thing to ask everybody, and that is, what do you like most about art?
You just cut out. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you like most about art?
That it's always different. Like it doesn't matter who does it. Like, you could have like 100 people in a room, like at a paint night, and everybody's doing something different. Like, and it depends on, their background, like, if they have any artistic abilities. I mean, I've heard people like, I can't draw a straight line, that type of stuff. I'm like, just
Mm,
at least try, like for me, like I've always told people just try, and like you never know what you're gonna come up with. Um, I just like that there's so much variety. It's just like how everybody is different. Nobody is exactly the same. Nobody has the same experiences. So I like seeing differences. I like seeing something I haven't seen before. I mean, I can appreciate people that do like photorealism, and I think that's great and all, but I maybe just because of my background, I always veer towards, the more abstract type people. Like,
mhm.
how did you come up with this? What is, you know, I like what you did here. Or people that use different techniques too. I really like using like a lot of texture in some of my paintings. And a lot of blending. I mean, I just try and I'm open to try like anything, to see what the result could be. It might fail, it might not. I just I don't know. I love art.
No, that's a great response.
Yeah.
and you answered it quite quickly for as loaded of a question that is. But I agree with you 100%, right? It's super I hate to say super, but it's very subjective, right? And for the artist, yeah, I too, I can admire like a hyper realistic artist, right? Although, especially when it comes to portraits, right? I love doing portraits, but I'm not a hyper realistic portrait artist. I like to do it in in my own style with the use of cross hatching and whatnot. And kind of like in like piggyback like on what you were saying, like you get it's a you choose your way of expressing, and that's why you create the art you create. It's like it's the best way you know how to express yourself in that in that language of art. um and also I'll say, in regards to people that, as when they would complain about trying to, draw a straight line and stuff like that, yeah, you just gotta try it, keep trying, and that's the only true way you can get better at anything. Um, and that's something I tell a lot of us, like young artists especially, and even like people that don't want to be artists and just say like I feel like a broken record when I talk about this, but like even when people are like, "Oh, all I can do is draw a stick figure." And I always when I hear that, it's almost like a trigger just only because when I went to school for animation, one of my life drawing classes, we had to draw hundreds of gesture lines, which are essentially stick figures. So anytime like I hear that, oh, I can only do stick figures, like, well, let me tell you, like I've had to draw hundreds of them, but it's like that's the first step to any type of figure drawing. It's like it's helpful to get your gesture lines in. Then you do the next step, which is throwing in some basic shapes. And then the step after that is putting in more contour lines and more details. And it's like it's a building block. You just got to keep building on top of it, much like any discipline that people would, any endeavor that people want to partake. It's like you just got to take that first step. If it feels good, you think you want to keep moving forward with it, then you keep learning more, you keep improving. It's all about your intention on it. But that's what I love about art as well, is just how, there's almost like no rules to it. Like you got rules, but you're not obligated to follow those rules if that's not your way of expressing yourself. Um, but yeah, I agree with everything you said there. Um, I do want to ask also, how do you feel about your first podcast experience?
I think it was good, I guess. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think it was good. I mean, I liked all the questions that you asked, and nothing was like out of left field, or I wasn't like being attacked, like
No,
all
I
that
wouldn't wanna-
craziness. You
I
know?
mean, I mean, it's good to have like friendly debates. Like if like
Yeah.
I mean, I would
Which
I mean, I would never do that. That wouldn't be part of my
no,
intention.
I was kidding.
Uh,
No, but I don't I would never think that you'd be attacking. But I mean, I posted something on, I think it was on my Instagram thing. It's like, like we're allowed to disagree. People are allowed to disagree with each other. Like I don't want people that are going along with me just because, to make me happy or to make me to make somebody else happy. Like as long as we're not like attacking and like being hurtful towards each other, I mean, how else are we supposed to grow and learn? Like,
oh yeah,
you're not going to learn anything from somebody that's like has a different background or something like that. Being so like, no, this is the way it should be. No, this is the way it should be. Like, you're not
yeah,
going to get it anywhere with it. So
yeah.
I don't,
Um,
when people are like that, I just immediately they're like plus again I'm older. I don't put up with any of that bullshit. So I'm in the age where it's like I don't give a fuck attitude type of thing. It's like we're
hell
done.
yeah.
Like you know,
No,
it's
that's
it's like a
great.
joke with family now because they're just like you're so opinionated and this that and I'm like, I just don't have time for it. I don't have time for
Yeah.
the drama or any of this bullshit. Like, I just want to, like, do what I want to do. I'm not out here hurting anybody or being malicious or horrible towards somebody else. So
Right.
it's just, just let me do what I want. I have a different opinion than you. Okay. Oh, no big deal. Who cares? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it shouldn't be like world ending because somebody has a different opinion. You're going to run into those people your entire life. So
Yeah.
learn to deal with it now. So
Amen, sister. It's true. I feel like we've lost that. Because like I've lost friends over having different opinions and being open about it. And it's yeah, it's unfortunate that you can't move on amicably with difference of views and opinions. Like you need you need people that I mean, and my thing is like people that'll hold you accountable too. Like you can't just be surrounded by yes men and yes women. Like you get to a point of delusion when all you're surrounded by are just people that just keep like just drowning you in love and praise and this and like you got to have at least one person that'll call you out on some bullshit if you're like and it's just good to have that balance like like I
yeah,
don't know, I feel like shit gets boring if you just with people that just constantly agree with everything you have to say or it's but yeah, it's like I kind of had the similar conversation with my buddy this past weekend. It's just like, yeah, it just sucks that, if you disagree on one thing, then that's it. You're like dead to them. It's like,
yeah,
whoa.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's usually over, and I mean, not to like trivialize things, but for the most part, sometimes it's over something so stupid that can be like, if both people were willing to listen to each other, it could be resolved, or like, you could come to some understanding. But it's like some people you just can't talk to or whatever. Like they're just like they're so set in their ways or whatever, or their
Right.
beliefs, and they're not willing to hear it. It's just like, to me, that's very sad. Like, how could you go through life being that way? I don't, I can never wrap my head around that. I've always been pretty open-minded and, willing to hear other people's point of view, like, yeah, I might have my own beliefs about it already, but if they're willing to talk to me about it, I'm willing to listen. But at the same time, like, that doesn't give them a license to, they're going to convert me or change
Mhm.
my thinking or whatever. But like I said, I'm willing to hear it,
Yeah.
and a lot of people aren't willing to even just listen.
Right.
That's unfortunate.
Well, that and just like if they hear you say something that they disagree with, like
Yeah,
they'll like attack you for it. It's like, dude, like, this I thought this was a conversation. Like I didn't know you were
right,
trying to win an argument.
right, right.
I think that's what happens oftentimes with people. It's like when they find themselves in this sort of like, whether it's just like a constructive conversation or criticism or something, it's just like they find themselves wanting to win some argument. It's like, no, I'm just like, I heard you out, and I'm just
Yeah,
saying my thing and leaving it at that. Like, I'm not saying something to try to win you over. So I'm just saying
right,
something because this is how I look at things. But
right.
that has been lost, unfortunately.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's just like, I always say this to my mom all the time, which it's horrible to say, but I feel like her and my grandparents tried to raise me to be like a good person. And I feel like that world doesn't exist anymore. Like, everybody has their own agenda or whatever. It's just like the world, like I always tell her, I'm like, the world that you tried to prepare me for as a child does not exist now. Like what you were thinking the
Yeah.
world was going to be, it doesn't exist. And that's sad. Like it makes me worried for my nephews and my nieces. It's just like,
Yeah.
how are things are going this way now. Like what's
Yeah,
going down the
right.
road type of
I
thing,
I was trying
which
my
is
best not
scary.
to get into those topics, but
Oh,
I'm with but I'm
sorry.
with you. I'm no, I'm just
Yeah,
saying like
yeah,
I'm with you on that. Like
yeah,
no, the things I've been the the controversial topics that I've been open about, it's just me expressing my concern for the future, for the kids, because it's a lot of these a lot of these things that are happening are affecting kids now, and it's like, I feel like they've already lost their innocence. Like it's hard to just be like an innocent kid to,
Yeah.
enjoying their childhood, like, and um yeah, like that the world, like you said, the world that our parents were trying to prep us for, like that world is gone. I mean, hopefully there's, a lot of individuals similar to us, or will keep our foot down and just
Yeah.
try to keep how should I say? Just like traditional values, right? We gotta keep those alive because
Yeah.
traditional values are very, like they still hold moral ground, and we just gotta hold on to that and try to pass that on to future generations so that humanity doesn't end itself.
Yeah.
No, but with
I'm
that
worried,
being,
like I don't know about you, but like I watch a lot of television, and like Walking Dead is like one of my favorite shows and stuff like that. And it's like my brothers are talking about we were just talking about guns and stuff like that, which I mean, I don't really have an opinion about guns. I personally don't want one for myself just because, again, I'm not knowledgeable of how to use it and that type of stuff.
of
But
course,
we always like all of us watch The Walking Dead, and it's like, well, when the zombies come, we're gonna need guns, you know?
yeah, same. And
Like
so,
I didn't
and
know how
and
to
you
use these things,
and
and
you learn that
then
it's
my
not
mom
even for
watched
the
it.
zombies, right? You sometimes
Yeah,
you might need
yeah,
that protection for like the crazies. But
yeah,
I agree, right?
yeah,
I mean, well, yeah, gun control, that's a sensitive topic too, still. And like, hey man, until some shit happens, like people's opinions and views will change, right?
yeah,
Um, I don't own a gun, but I certainly would like to be educated because
yeah,
God, just like God forbid, right? I mean, honestly, I try to tell my friends with kids, I'm like, yo, when they're at when they're old enough, start taking them to like jujitsu classes and learn some self-defense just because God forbid.
yeah,
It's better to have the education and have the preparation for something, and just to have that knowledge and not have to use that, as
yeah,
opposed to when the chips are down and you don't know what to do. Like God forbid that you're in that type of situation. That's how I usually break things down, right? It's like, yeah, I wouldn't want to have a gun. I'm not a gun owner. I don't
right,
have the intention to own a gun, but I kind of wish I just knew how to work a gun to at least know what it feels like to fire, so that I'm not
yeah,
freaking flinging myself in the face or whatever,
right,
right?
right,
It's just like I just would like to have the knowledge, but not want to have to use it, and
yeah.
that's where that's my logic with it. But
But I think that's part of like, I mean, like I said, I don't know anything really about like how to. I've never been taught about using guns or whatever, but I think that's like one of the hallmarks of it is like, like you need to know how to use it and when to use it, like when it's appropriate to use it type of thing. Like
right,
not just there like, hey, I got a gun, like swinging it around and
yeah,
being a show off about it.
yeah,
Because I have that stuff in my family too, and it's just like, ugh.
yeah,
Just roll
no,
your
yeah,
eyes at it. It's just like, dude, it's like it just seems so like I don't know what the right word is for it, but it's just not being like I just lost the word. But anyway, not being responsible
mm,
for, like you think you know how to use a gun and hey, I've had this many hours, but I'm just going to be a big shot and showing everybody and like I got to have my concealed license, which I mean, okay, that's fine, but got to be like to me you can't it's like like being able to drive a car. Like it's not what do they say, it's not a right, it's a privilege or something like that, whatever
mm,
they said when you learn how to drive and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, you might be able to allowed to have a gun, but you have to be responsible about it. Like you have do the necessary things to make sure that you can use it. I
absolutely,
just again I they scare me, but I would like to be, if I needed to be if I was in an area where I thought that I needed to have one where I live,
Right.
I'm not worried for my life or anything living here, but
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's why, like, if anything, if not guns, like at least learn some, like some self-defense, learn how to throw
yeah.
a punch properly. Like just again, preparate just to have the preparation if the opportunity were to present itself. And
Survival skills.
yeah, yeah,
Daryl
'cause
Daryl sticks in class with using the crossbow and Michonne with the knife and that type of stuff.
oh man, you just opened up a whole because I own two crossbows, and now that we
Yeah.
have a yard, I'm kind of like, but I also I don't have like a permit or anything. I don't know. But that's another story for another time.
You have to have a permit for those, I guess.
Huh?
For like archery, do you have to have a permit for crossbows or archery
I
stuff or
I don't know.
oh, you don't? Oh.
I assume because I mean it's a dangerous weapon. So and my wife got it for me for Christmas. Well, at the spring of Walking Dead getting big, and she
Yeah.
put together this zombie survival bag with a crossbow in it, and and then like another Christmas she got me like another crossbow that like collapses, like it folds,
Okay. Yeah.
and yeah, I mean they're badass, and I fired it a couple of times, but I mean like. But yeah, I don't know if if I'm actually allowed that one. No.
Yeah.
Um no, before we get into this last segment that I like to end every episode with, I just want to say thank you for making a time to join me on the podcast. I thought this was a very wonderful exchange, and I'm glad I
Yeah.
got to know you better. Um, and of course, you're always welcome back on. If you ever feel like it, just to again keep if you want to talk more about art or continue to talk more about life stuff. Yeah, my platform is always open for you. Um, this is gonna be out, um, this coming Sunday, Monday the latest. I know you have some events coming up. Is there anything you want to plug?
Well, let's see. So, I was going to start doing my art shows in June because last year I kind of went from April until November, and that was just a little too much with everything that was going on. And then in the winter time, I have another job that I do. I work at a liquor store and I make, I
Mm.
call them booze baskets,
Oh,
like
nice.
they have bottles of wine and food and stuff in there. My youngest brother had worked at this local liquor store for years, and I've been working there for over 10 years now, doing that for that time of the year. So it just got to be last year was too much for me. Like also like how he said before with certain shows not being so great, and it
Mm.
felt like a super long extended time frame. So um, I had another artist that I actually met through that one show, The Art of Surfing in Ocean City. Her and I became friends, and she's suggested, hey, there's a brewery that, in May they're having, an event, a spring event. I know that you said you'd start in June. So I'm going to be there. It's called Slack Tide Brewery. I think it's called their Spring Tide Celebration or something like that. That's going to be in the beginning of May. And then I have 3 events starting in June. Um, Beach Haven Art Walk, Bayhead Art in the Park, and what was the other one? I can't think of the other one. Um,
Okay.
but there's those events, and then July will kind of be a lull, and then hopefully in August will be Art of Surfing, which is a 3-day event, and then in September I participate in a couple Oktoberfest events, like local farm markets have events and stuff like that for the fall, and then I'm done because my youngest brother, he's going to be getting married in October, so
Very nice.
that'll be the end of it for me for then, and then jumping into the baskets again.
Well, hey, that sounds great. Sounds like you
Yeah.
got a busy year ahead of you.
Yeah.
I would like to add for viewers and listeners, your to follow Kristen on social media at do you just only have Instagram? Yeah.
I have Instagram and Facebook. It's Kristen Steindl Art for both of them. And then my website just www.kristensteindl.com. I do have TikTok, but I haven't put anything on there. I might be using it for the artist brand intensive, putting videos up there. But I think it's the same name on that
Okay.
side. But I mostly use Instagram where I have a lot of my stuff.
Okay, wonderful. Well, there you have it, folks. And I'll be sure to include all of your links in the description. Um, now, like I said, I like to end every episode with this segment where I share some form of meaningful quote. Whether it's from artists or philosophers or like whomever. Um, One that I chose for this one is from Bruce Lee, which is a shocker because a lot of my quotes come from Bruce Lee. Just because a lot of his lessons are very relatable, no matter what place in life you're in. So the quote is, "Life is never stagnation; it is constant movement, unrhythmic movement as constant change. Things live by moving and gain strength as they go." There. Any
It's
any
that it
last
kind of
words?
relates to my work because it's like a lot of like I try and capture a lot of movement from the waves in my work. So that seems like it's perfect. I like that one.
Yes. Good choice then. Well, there you have it, folks. If you've been tuning in, thank you for joining us. Please, as I said in the very beginning of the episode, uh, follow if you're listening, subscribe if you're watching, ring the notification bell, leave comments for the algorithm, share with your friends, and be sure to check out the links in the description if you want to follow us on social media, especially with all of these events that Kristen's got lined up for this busy year. And with that, I'll leave you with stay safe, stay healthy, and stay driven. And we shall catch you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.